Hello, good morning. I hope you are fine. Child of God, today I want to show you something about the parable of the man who sowed seeds in his field and who went to sleep. And then as he slept, an enemy came and sowed bad seeds in his vineyard, and both seeds grew up together, and at the harvest time he was able to separate the good from the bad and burn them up. Jesus had just given this parable. And here in our gospel reading of today, which is taken from Matthew chapter 13, from verses 36 to 43, the disciples came closer, take note of that expression, they came closer to Jesus and asked him to explain this parable to them. And today's gospel is basically Jesus explaining to them that this parable means that the sons of God are the good ones that God has sown in the world, and the devil sows bad seeds also among good people. And then, but the Lord does not judge immediately. He allows them both to grow up together, and on the judgment day, that evil will be tied up and burned in eternal fire. So that's the explanation that Jesus gives, which hardly needs any commentary. But today I want to show you three things that I think we can still learn from this very beautiful explanation of Jesus as well as the parable itself. The first thing I'd like to show to you is that it is not everything that you can see from a distance. It is not everything that you can see from a distance. Jesus had this habit of talking to everyone, to all of the crowds, and then he would explain further to those who came closer to him. Those who came closer to him always had a deeper understanding of the parables. And usually these were his apostles and disciples. So, child of God, don't judge things from a distance. There are some things that you cannot understand until you have gone close enough to observe them. This was something that everyone in the first century knew. If you saw a field of grains and a field, and there were what we call zizani, there were also bad seeds in that field, you will not know the difference between the good ones and the bad ones. But what would help you to know is when you came closer and observed carefully both, you will now be able to identify which one is the true one, the true grain, and which one is the false one. And usually it was easier to identify during harvest time because they will bear different kinds of fruit. They will bear different kind of fruit. Their roots are tied up in the ground, their leaves look very much alike, but if you observe their fruits, you will understand that this is the true one and this is the fake one. And the only way you can do that is when you come close enough to observe things for yourself. So don't judge things. There are some things you can never understand from a distance. Don't judge things, don't judge people from a distance. If you really want to know what somebody is like, don't just base your opinion on what people have said or what you can see from afar. Go closer, like the disciples did this morning. They came closer to Jesus and asked exactly what the parable meant, and they gained a deeper understanding. The second thing I'd like to show to you here is that the people who enjoy God the most are people who create a time with Him, who create moments to be in His presence, who create specific places where they can meet with God. This is what the disciples are doing here basically. After Jesus had done his ministry outside, they would usually go to the house and spend time, quality time with him. And that is what made the difference. Now we see something analogous to this in our first reading of today, which is taken from Exodus chapter 33 from verses 7 to 11. Now the people of God were crossing the desert, they were moving to the promised land. And where they were camping in the desert, Moses went outside and created a tent. All of them had their tents in their houses, right, where they were living. And so Moses went outside the tent to create a tent of meeting so that whoever wanted to spend more time with the Lord, whoever wanted to gain a deeper understanding of the mysteries of God, would go to that tent of meeting and meet with God. Moses himself went to the tent of meeting frequently to meet with God. Do you have an altar in your house? Do you have a place of prayer? Do you have a moment where you spend time with God? Child of God, if you have a habit of meeting God in a place of prayer, if you have developed a habit of having a place, a time where you meet with your God, where you develop your relationship with God, you will understand the difference between the life you had before and the new life that you now have. I know it's a great thing to go to church. The church is a tent of meeting. I know it's a great thing to meet with other believers, but you must also have your personal altar. That place where you alone are with God, dealing with your issues, asking Him questions and asking Him for insight and understanding. You can't go far in your Christian walk without it. You need a tent of meeting. Now, the final thing I'd like to share with you this morning is that we all need patience. We all need patience. Now, the farmers of Jesus' time knew very well that you should not be in a hurry to pull out the bad plants along, because in pulling them out, you might pull out the good ones as well. So there's need for patience as you observe the good plant and the bad plant as they grow together. There's going to be a time of judgment. There's a right time to discern and to judge and to take decisions. So we all need patience, and this is very important. This is another very important message that we can learn from today's parable. So those are the three things I wanted to share with you this morning. The first is that you need a special place where you can meet with God. You need a special place where you can meet with God. The second one is that you have to learn to ask God questions. You have to learn to ask Jesus further questions. And of course, we all need to be patient as God works it all out for our good. I pray the Almighty God will bless and keep you today and keep you away from the bad seeds sown by the evil one, He who is Father, Son, and Holy